Hello and welcome to this Managed Methods video. Today we're going to be talking about the newest product, Classroom Manager. Classroom Manager is designed to give teachers visibility into what students are doing when they're in class and on their Chromebooks. So this will provide them direct visibility into that. And that's not just going to be visibility on the individual tab that the students are on, it's going to be the entire screen here. And we'll get into that in a little bit. To start with here, I'm looking at more of an administrator view, so I'm able to see all the different classes out here, so that would include my classes, as well as other classes that my colleagues have created. But before I get to that, on the right-hand side, there's an add option, which would allow you to create an ad hoc classroom. And then there's also an import option here as well too. Before I get to the import here, the add class option, if you go ahead and click on it, there's an option to give that class a name. There's going to be a teacher who's selected, in this case myself, and then I can go in and actually add students to that classroom. So as I start typing that in, it's going to go ahead and find the students in question. I'm able to go ahead and add those students to that specific classroom. Via the import functionality, there's a template that can be downloaded. There will be a CSV template there, and then that can be re-uploaded to automatically create those classrooms there. So that's the current way to go ahead and create new classrooms. That can be refreshed here at the top. I'll go ahead and update what we're seeing here below. In the center here, you're going to see a filter option. So there'll be the name of the classroom in question. That's a searchable feature functionality. I can also go ahead and look for a specific teacher. I could clear this out. I could also look for a specific student. I can only look for those classrooms that are currently active. And I've got an option to go ahead and reset so I can see all the classrooms that everybody has. Again, I'm in administrative view here, so I'm able to see all of those sessions. I can also start any of the sessions in here as well too, or end them as well. So I'll go ahead and use one of my own sessions here. So first off, before I get into that, I can go ahead and edit the session, so I could go ahead and take a user out just for this particular session I'm about to turn on. That's not going to take them out for all sessions, but just this particular one I'm about to start. I also then can go ahead and outright delete the particular classroom in question, and then lastly I can go ahead and start the session. So I'm going to go ahead and start that session here. And then once that session is started here, it's going to go ahead and launch us into the classroom view itself. So here I've got a main section here. You may have noticed too when I was starting that as well, I could change the name of the main session here. At the top here, there's a main session, and then you can also add child sessions, which you can put students into individually and then toggle between them. That way the students can have different allow lists, different block lists between the different groups. So if you have some students working on one project, you can allow them certain sites. If you have students working on a different project, you can allow them to other sites as well too. And when you end those sessions, it'll dump the students back into this main session here that's active. That's gone ahead and launched the screen share here, so you can actually kind of get a sense of what that looked like there, just because it's going to go ahead and pop up. Now normally how that would pop up here is if I go ahead and click on the student view, it's going to be this little green icon here for the student to go ahead and join that classroom there. So that's a way you can go ahead and get the users to go ahead and join the classroom, and then they do have to choose what they're going to share. In that case, you noticed I picked a specific screen in question, that went ahead and shared it there. I can also see which students have joined and which haven't joined. So here we can see these are all the students that have actually shared their screen. These are the students who haven't currently shared their screen here. With any of the students as well too, you can go ahead and change the number of users listed in here just by increasing or decreasing, so it'll kind of adjust the screens there for you to take a look at. There's also a list view version as well too. Again, you can also pin the students. You may have noticed that. That's going to allow you to go ahead if you need to keep an eye on certain individual students more closely than others. Great for that option as well too. If we go back to all, it'll just show us everybody here. Once the student's actually in the classroom and they're starting to actually hit tabs and go to different places here, that's when you're going to go see this screen change here, and you'll be able to kind of follow along with what the student was doing here. So now if I go ahead and click into here directly, I'm able to see that they're on the new tab, but if I want to, I can see which tabs they have active. I could go ahead and set a specific tab as active if I wanted to as well too. I could go ahead and also close any of the tabs in here or actually block those right from here as well. As I scroll down here, I'm also able to see that I can see all the way down to that desktop level as well. So it's not just the individual screen. If I went ahead and minimized all these, I'd be able to see the background here as well. You can also go ahead and take a screenshot here, and you can also close the active tab or outright delete the user out of the classroom if needed as well. So some options that way to go ahead and respond to things as needed. On the right-hand side, you're going to see a teacher control panel. This gives you the option to actually end that session. All these sessions are going to have a timer, so you notice that at the start there was an hour default timer. That's always going to be the case. It's always an hour by default. And then once that timer expires, the students are released out of the classroom and they're going to just go back to normal filtering there. There's no way for a student to get stuck in a session other than if someone scheduled a session that never ended. That's really not all that possible. So you students can't get stuck in sessions. Thankfully, those sessions will release the students either by the time or the teacher actually ending the session. So also in this teacher control panel, there's going to just be some basic information. So who are the participants, who went ahead and connected to the classroom in question, is there anyone disconnected, what are the subsessions, what are the unique sites, what are the top sites, and then below that, there's a section here called scenes. And scenes are what actually give you control over the classroom. So when you go ahead and block something, or if you're allowing something, that's all going to be done via the scene. And there's always going to be a session default scene that's up and running. And this will include the allow and the block here. And then there's also an option to turn on something what we call focus mode. And focus mode is going to go ahead and only explicitly allow the sites that are allowed in this scene through. Everything else is going to be blocked. It will also close any additional tabs that the users are trying to go ahead and open. Where they're trying to go to different sites and things like that as well too. So it really locks them down into those selective sites. You could even have no sites selected and just block everything if you really wanted to lock them out of everything if there was some kind of situation that came up there. The scenes are also shareable between different people, so I could go ahead and give somebody else access to this. I can give them view access, edit access, ownership of the particular class scene in question as well too. And then you can also create a brand new one on the fly, or you can also add existing ones. So I could go into my library of scenes here. I could go ahead and add that to my session here. And once that's added, and I go ahead and click out of here, it's going to go ahead. In this case, I have focus mode turned on, you can see. So that's going to immediately push those specific sites out, and the user's not allowed to access anything except for those allowed sites that I put in there for them. So if they try to go ahead and navigate to something else that they shouldn't be, like YouTube or something like that, it's just going to go ahead and close on. You can kind of see how that's going to work here real time there. So yep, closed. They couldn't get to YouTube there. Went ahead and tried to do that. I could also choose which of these tabs, and again, I can want to set as active here too. So as long as that focus mode is active, they're not really going to be able to go anywhere. So we should just see these tabs here. And again, this number here that you're seeing, this is going to be an indication of how many of those tabs are open of that particular site in question. So in a full classroom, I might see 24, 30 of those tabs that are actually open of those directly that way too. Once I'm done with the focus mode, I can and the scene, I can go ahead and press the delete button there. That's going to go ahead and remove that. That's going to release the student back to their normal browsing here as well too. So a great option there if you do want to go ahead and release them back to just normal browsing after you finish doing whatever you need to do. So there's a lot of options with the scenes you can create, and those scenes can be generated again ahead of time so that they're ready to go. They're ready to be implemented very quickly there. Below that here in the tabs itself, I can again see which tabs are open. I could also go ahead and tell the students, hey, I need you to go to a specific tab here. So I might just say, for example, I need you to go to google.com here. So if I go ahead and submit that, it's going to go ahead and pull up google.com. I can now look again at the tabs, and I can see now I've got another tab here now for just Google. So that's a way you can go ahead and automatically open those sites for students. It will also set that site as active for the student as well too. So really handy if you're pushing out specific sites or things like that. You say, oh, actually, there's this additional new site that I need you to go to here. I found this yesterday or something like that, and I want to just go ahead and push it out to everybody. Very easy to do that. This is all searchable here as well, and then you can see you can also block and close. And this close doesn't work just for this one student. It's going to work for all the students that have that tab up. So if I go ahead and close it, it's just going to go ahead and close all of those out that way as well too. Lastly, there is a one-way chat functionality. This is going to be a chat from teachers to the class as a whole. It doesn't go to individual students or anything like that. It's just the class as a whole. Really more of an announcements feature functionality there. But if I go ahead and type in a message here, it's going to go ahead and pull up a little box here in the bottom. And if I went ahead and pulled up that participant view here again, I can now see there's my little message there as well too, my little announcement that way. So really handy that way as well too. We'll go ahead and push those out to the users on that end as well too. So as the class is running, again, these things can be changed over time. Actions can be taken that way. I can also throw people into subsessions if I needed to as well. So I could say, hey, this person's someone who won't join the screen share here at all. So I could come in here and I could say, okay, well, right now they're just going to be in focus mode. They're not going to be able to do anything then. So if they try to open any sites or anything like that, it's just going to go ahead and lock them down. So they're really just locked out. Now again, they might say, okay, I'm ready to participate. I'm ready to join the class. Okay, great. We could go ahead and get that focus mode turned off. get them back in that class, get them back going there. And I could go ahead and end this little child session here as well too. Again, you can rename those as well too. They're going to be whatever you call them. And then now you can see I'm zeroed out here on the child session. If I go ahead and navigate away, this child session is eventually going to go ahead and disappear out of here as well too, because it's no longer an active session there. Once the session's concluded, things are done, you go ahead and click the end session button. That's going to go ahead and close that session out, and it'll release the students back to normal filtering there, normal browsing activity. This just takes a moment here, and then this will also go ahead and take me to the say, hey, there's no active sessions for this class. I can now go ahead and go back to my class list, start back over there. If we go over to scenes themselves, this is where you can generate scenes ahead of time and create those and share those amongst users. So if I go ahead and click the add button here, options here to go ahead and allow a site, block all. I can turn on focus mode right away, and then I can also have this be shared with people ahead of time as well too. So really handy. So hey, all the 5th grade teachers are going to be using this site. Hey, our 2 biology teachers are going to be using these particular set of sites today. So they've got a scene already pre-built and ready to go for them. So the scenes are shareable. They're shareable between people. Can be really handy. So not everyone has to create a scene, but once the scenes are implemented, ready to go, they're going to go ahead and do what they're supposed to do. They're going to keep the users locked down to those specific sites as needed, and it allow the teacher to have some freedom as well too. So they can also then allow sites that they need to as too. So if there's certain sites where you say, hey, this is normally blocked, but my class needs that, they can go ahead and put that into the allow there, and that will actually override the content filter too in Managed Methods content filter. Now, unfortunately, we can't override other content filters, so do keep that in mind. But on Managed Methods content filter, those allows will go ahead and override that, allow that through. You might see, for example, I've got another scene here with this IXL. So this is just an example of one where I'm saying, hey, I'm blocking all the sites but this specific website here. So they can go ahead and use this website. They can click around in there. They can access things. So this is great for testing, for example. Hey, you can go to this testing website, but that's it. You're not allowed to go anywhere else. You're not allowed to do anything. So that's the idea behind these scenes here. It's what they're designed to go ahead and allow you to do. And those scenes will work seamlessly. So the idea here is to make it easy for teachers to go ahead and get that classroom control, go ahead and get things set up, get in the classroom, get things taken care of as they need to. It's going to be the Classroom Manager by Managed Methods.